to welcome everyone who has joined us today in the gallery and those who are watching our live stream. Just a couple of important items. Our council meeting is being recorded and live streamed on our website, and you can access this recording via our website at a later date if you wish. We would also ask that your presence here is respectful by not interjecting or disrupting the meeting as per our governance rules. I'd like everyone to stand for acknowledgement of the country. I would like to start the meeting by acknowledging and extending my appreciation for the Dja Dja Wurrung people, the traditional owners of the land we're standing on today. We pay our respects to leaders, elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. Now for the prayer. Almighty God, we ask you to be present in this council. Direct and guide our deliberations. We ask you to grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of Central Goldfields Shire. May each decision that we make advance the well-being of all our residents. This we pray. Amen. Please be seated. Going to item number 2, apologies. Veronica Hutchison, and she's our acting GM of corporate performance. We have one leave of absence, which is Councillor Anna de Villiers. We have 2 conflicts of interest. One conflict at 8.1.1, which is our interim CEO, Sally Jones. And we have another, Councillor Elizabeth Long, and that will be 8.2.3. Confirmation of minutes from previous council meeting. Do we have a mover, please? Jeffrey, yep. Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Green. So Councillor Bartlett moves, Councillor Green second. There are no minutes of delegated advisory committees, no petitions, so we'll move straight on to the officers' reports. 8.1 corporate performance, and I do believe this is where you're going to take yourself out of the room, CEO.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest in relation to item 8.1.1, the Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy, as the report directly relates to my role and may impact decisions regarding my current or future remuneration. In accordance with the conflict of interest provisions, I'll leave the meeting while this item is considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Point 1.1, Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy. Do I have a mover for this item, please? Councillor Murphy.
That the Council adopt the amended Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy as attached, attachment 1 to this report.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Green. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Murphy?
It's just a matter of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Nothing. I will put that to a vote. All those in favour? I'll repeat that. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on. Moving on to item 8.2, infrastructure assets and planning. Item number 8.2.1, Carisbrook Flood Management Plan Reference Group membership. Now, the purpose of this report is to brief Council on the development of an updated Carisbrook Flood Management Plan, including project scope and outputs, as well as the proposed membership of the Carisbrook Flood Plan Advisory Reference Group, and the acronym for that is FSARG, and associated terms of reference. A public expression of interest, an EOI process was undertaken for the selection of 2 community members to join the reference group and 1 community member to serve on both the reference group and the tender panel. While the committee is not a statutory committee of council, officers propose that the council formally appoint the community members as a councillor to the committee by resolution of council, given the public interest in flood mitigation. Do I have a mover for this item, please? Councillor Murphy.
The recommendation, the council endorses the draft flood study advisory and reference group terms reference. Appoint 3 community members to the flood study advisory reference group as noted in the draft terms of the reference, one of whom will serve on the tender panel for the procurement of the project consultant, and appoints Tallawarra Ward Councillor Anna de Villiers to the flood study advisory and reference group to provide community support.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Seconded. Councillor Long. Councillor Murphy, would you like to speak to the item, please?
Yes, I just want to read something out from the report, which it's in the report, so most people could have read it by now, but the purpose of the FSARG is to provide guidance, expertise and stakeholder perspectives to the Central Goldfields Shire Council in the development and implementation of the updated Carisbrook Flood Management Plan. The role of the FSARG includes offering feedback on the findings and proposals presented within the study, drawing on the expertise, knowledge and understanding of the potential impacts on the local community, reviewing and providing feedback on draft key documents as the study progresses, serving on a forum for discussion, review and advice on key project matters, supplying local sourced information to support the successful delivery of the project. And this is what the group is proposed to comprise of, is 1 local SES representative, 1 representative from the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, DECA, 1 representative from North Central Catchment Management Authority, 3 council officers, 2 of which are project services, and 1 is the asset management team, and 1 emergency management team. Tallawarra Ward Councillor, 1 local CFA representative, 1 representative from Department of Transport and Planning, and consultants we employ, and 3 community members as well. They will meet bi-monthly and serve for the duration of the project, which is anticipated to take 20 months. It may be extended or dissolved at the discretion of Central Goldfields Shire Council, depending on the needs of the project. Council will be the ultimate decision maker in response to the recommendations and outcomes from the project and how any actions might be implemented and funded.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Long, would you?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to add to that. Carisbrook has a history of regular flooding, which is traumatic for the residents that live there. The January 2011 flood event is thought to be the largest flood ever in Carisbrook on record, larger than the 1% or 1 in 100 AEP design event, close to 0.5% 1 in 200 AEP. There's also been recent flooding in 2016 and in October 22. This flood study advisory and reference group will deliver a review and update to the Carisbrook Flood and Drainage Management Plan 2013. This is because climate change and other factors have now made that not so relevant anymore. The total project budget is $300,000, which is fully funded through the Victorian Government Flood Study Reclamation Funding Program. So I'm more than happy to second this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Long. Do we have someone against this motion? No, I'll put this to a vote. Those in favour of this motion, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillor. Item 8.2.2, 42 Victoria Street, Carisbrook. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Gerard Murray.
I recommend the council receive and note the late information submitted by Wayne McCall on behalf of Mrs. Judy McCall as provided in attachment 1.
Thank you.
The council, having caused the notice of planning permit application number D044/23 to be given under section 52 of the Planning Environmental Act 1987 and the Central Goldfields Planning Scheme, and having considered all the matters generally required, including correspondence received following the receipt of the officer's report, resolves to refuse a planning permit and issue a notice of decision to refuse a permit in respect of planning permit application D044/23 for land known and described as 42 Victoria Street, Carisbrook, for the two-lot subdivision of land, creation of access to and subdivision adjacent to a road in Transport Zone 2. The following ground for refusal are that the land is subject to clause 44.04, land subject to inundation overlay, and councils are not satisfied that the proposal minimises the potential flood risk to life and health and safety. The land is subject to a land use framework plan and in future structure plan and a flood study, and the proposal does not ensure the development maintains the free passage and temporary storage of floodwaters, minimise local flood damage, responds to the flood hazard and local drainage conditions, and will not cause any significant rise in flood level or flow velocity from future dwelling development. Thank you.
Green? Do a seconder, please?
Yes, pardon me. Yes, I second that.
Would you like to speak to that?
It's about a year ago, I think, that we deferred this project. We deferred this from the council floor in another council, not this council group, and it's been in limbo for that time, and it needs to be acted on because it has to be a yes or a no. It just can't stay in deferment. Now, deferment was about the issues that's just been put into the recommendation, and I still firmly believe that's still the way it should be, and that's why I've brought this motion, this recommendation to the council. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Is there anyone against this motion? Well, I'm going to say something from the chair. This item has been deferred at the council meeting last November 28th, 23. Items brought to council and deferred cannot remain deferred indefinitely. This applicant has been waiting a considerable amount of time and spent copious amounts of time and money ensuring the application meets all relevant legislation and regulations, which it does. As outlined in the report, and I'm sure you've all read the report, councillors, this permit application is for a subdivision only, not a building permit. The subdivision will not alter the site in any significant way and will not add extra overland flow to the existing properties. This is a matter to be dealt with through any future buildings or building work proposals. All fencing will be constructed to allow for continuing flow of water. There are 22 permit conditions, including permit expiry conditions associated with this application. Councillors, I cannot see any just cause why we could refuse this application for a subdivision. I will now put that to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Murphy's motion? Reply, Councillor Murphy.
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm right.
All in favour of Councillor Murphy's motion? Those against? Please have that noted. Thank you. We're moving on to 8.2.3, Clarks Road, Malort. The purpose of this report is to...
Madam Mayor, point of order, I have a conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Long.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to declare a conflict of interest on item 3.2.3. I am the founding president of the Central Goldfields Bushwalking and Hiking Club, Inc., and have been for near 2 years. The Central Goldfields Bushwalking and Hiking Club, Inc., and the Castlemaine Maryborough Rail Trail, which opposes the broiler farm developments, recently organised a walk along the Malort Plains railway line from the Malort Silo to Bold Hill. It was on Sunday the 16th of March, to consider the likely impact that this development would have on the proposed rail trail if the farms are approved. I am hence declaring a conflict of interest, and I humbly request to be excused from the debate and the vote on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Thank you. Now, the purpose of this report is to seek a council determination for planning permit application DO 131-24, use and development of land for a farm cluster broiler farm for up to 445,000 birds and 2 caretakers' houses with associated buildings and works at 39 Clarks Road, Malort, and 141 Clarks Road, Strathleigh. Notice of this application has been given as the proposal is classified as a farm cluster broiler farm under the Victorian Code of Broiler Farms 2018. As a result, 11 objections. No, councillors, I want you to note there was officers had been advised late this afternoon of a very late submission, and that was received from Ms. Berg, which is duly noted. Thank you. So I would like a motion for this.
So I'd like to get in fast recommendation. The council receive and note the late information submitted by Jeff Park and provided as an attachment. Receive and note the late information submitted by Alison Teese and provided as an attachment.
Thank you.
The council, as a responsible authority and pursuant to section 61 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, decides to refuse a permit subject to conditions and issue a notice of decision to refuse a permit in respect of planning permit application number 031-24 for the use and development of the land for a farm cluster broiler farm for up to 445,000 birds and 2 caretakers' houses with associated buildings and works at 39 Clarks Road, Malort, and 141 Clarks Road, Strathleigh, on the following grounds. The proposal is inconsistent with the municipal planning statement and planning policy framework of Central Goldfields planning scheme, including clause 12, environmental and landscape values, 13, environmental risks and amenity, 14, natural resource management, and 15, built environment and heritage. As the proposed cluster broiler farm will be contrary to policy framework that respectfully seeks to protect landscapes values, residential amenity and environmental values. The proposal is not compliant with the purpose of and decision guidelines of clause 35.07 farming zone of the Central Goldfields planning scheme, as a proposed cluster broiler farm would be incompatible with the amenity of nearby dwellings, would result in a detrimental environmental impacts, including to soil and water quality, as well as the impacts to water bodies and biodiversity, and by the location and design of the proposal in the rural landscape. The proposal is not compliant with the purpose and decisions guidelines of clause 53.09, poultry farm, of the Central Goldfields planning scheme, due to the appearance of the buildings and works. the need to protect the amenity of adjoining and nearby land users, the impact of emissions from the site, impact on wetlands and water bodies, and the impact upon biodiversity. The proposal is not compliant with the purpose and decision guidelines of clause 65.09, decision guidelines approval of an application of plan of the Central Goldfields planning scheme. As the proposal will be contrary to orderly planning and would result in detrimental amenity and environmental impacts. The proposal is contrary to the Victorian Code for Broader Farms, Department of Primary Industries 2009 plus 2018 amendment, as incorporated document within the Central Goldfields planning scheme, including standards of the broader code that relate to stormwater, drainage, waste management, landscape qualities. The proposal will result in inappropriately high population of birds to be produced by the additional cluster broader farm sheds. The proposal will result in detrimental impacts to the landscape values of the site and surrounds by the elevated location of the subject land and a significant built form of the cluster broader farm sheds. The proposal would result in a detrimental amenity impact to residential properties in vicinity of the subject land by way of inappropriate visual, odour, lighting, noise effects. The proposal would result in a detrimental environmental impacts to the Moore Plains, including water bodies and water quality, in addition to the ecological of this locality, including native bird life. The proposal will be contrary to orderly planning by way of allowing a conflicting consent for similar development in the same location in the subject land as an existing valid planning permit issued by the Victorian Civil and Administration Tribunal, as well as by inappropriately extending the timeline of approval for broader development in this location since the original permit was granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Yes.
Councillor Green,
I reserve.
you reserve? Do we have someone against the motion? You can speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
What you've spoken.
No, that was a
All right,
recommendation.
Okay, you expand on that,
That
Councillor.
was a recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
So the recommendation is where it comes from by the councillors. In 2017, the council at that time recommended to refuse it. And in 2017, the BCAC went through 6 sheds and 325,000 birds on the same site. And that's got a planning development approval to December 2025. So right now, the proponent can build 6 sheds with 325,000 birds. I feel for all the people who live in the area, the people who live around the area, and it's creeping. And even though the probably proponents think that they're asking for 120,000 birds, and they've come back to try and get all in one of 445,000, there's something that doesn't add up here. And I was on the council in 2017 when we refused it. And now 8 years later, it hasn't been built. And the VCAT gave him that decision in late 2017. So I don't understand all this at some stage, but I understand the community. I understand the birds, the fauna and everything there. I understand the late night trucks. I understand the lights. I understand the odour. I understand the fans. I know they can go ahead and build these 6 sheds, but sometimes enough is enough and we must move on. And I believe this is a fair situation right now if they go forward and build those 6 sheds, around 25,000 birds, and lay this one to rest. Thank you.
Councillor Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've I've no way impugned the operators or owners of the applicant, and I understand that 20 construction jobs in the offing and 5 jobs to maintain the operations. It's not clear whether those 5 jobs are all or partly part-time or full-time, but even in the event that they're full-time, I've taken that into consideration. And through the lens of the Planning Environment Act, Section 60, subsection 1, which includes the detrimental impact in respect to significant social, environmental and economic matters. I was moved by the objectors with their sincerity and country honesty in respect to not just, as Councillor Murphy has just referred to, economic and other interests, but also in respect to mental health, physical health, and an aspect of amenity. And I recall one of the objectors saying in respect to the matter that would be misting out of the through the fans that then lands on the roofs of the affected houses, that they from where the residents obtain their drinking water, that they drink it, wash in it, breathe it. So there's a complete encapsulation. I've read the VCAT decision, the relevant VCAT decision 2017, which seems to confine itself to odour, lights, noise, dust. But it hasn't directed its mind to, but I intend to direct my mind to, the serious environmental concerns as I understand it from the materials provided, the serious economic aspects. One objector referred to the purchase of a property with a reasonable view that they would be able to live in it and perhaps conduct a business out of it. That would obviously be seriously impacted. And also we heard from a range of objectives, a range of ages, experience, and there was a young person who spoke very well, and it's good to listen to the young people about the future of this fantastic shire in which we live. So I was moved by the sincerity, but also the arguments. The arguments also referred to an issue which I regard as a live issue in respect to the broiler code on the placement of structures on the ridgeline. I just say that's a live issue because I've heard, I've made inquiries, and my mind is still unclear, but it is live in my view of what constitutes a ridge and so on. I'd also like to point out that the original VCAT 2017
Councillor,
decision.
you've had your 3 minutes, but if the council wishes you to extend the time, are you in agreement?
Yes.
You can continue
thank
another
you.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Refers to the application being of a much lesser amount of birds, and that was a threshold matter. The decision itself seeks to set aside previous decisions, 2014, 2015, on the basis that on the submissions before it, that with the 300,025 birds odd, that was below a threshold within the broiler code. So I don't think there's any other reasonable choice to make in this, given a close look at the VCAT Act and considering the material before us. It is a balancing act, and so if I may finish in this, that I've balanced the applicant's submissions in respect to providing employment, and so forth, as against the significant, serious, deleterious impacts otherwise and through the Planning Environment Act. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you,
minute.
councillor. Are there any object or anyone against councillor Murphy's motion? No, I would like to say a few things. Now, I understand and have considered that big corporations such as Pro10 finding the Malort Plains very appealing for the development of huge enterprise. It is ideal location, ideal climate, and it's cheap. And I understand how you strive for cost benefit in environment, within an environment of commercial demand. We were elected councillors for the people, and that is exactly what we must do. We have listened to the community, understanding the distress they are enduring through a compromised amenity. A community tense and fearful of health issues, anxiety and diminished quality of life. The broiler farm's own code admits the dust particles that are dispersed, and I quote, dust can be physical irritant as well as a respiratory risk. Dust from broiler farms may originate from a number of sources: feather particles, skin cells, feed, litter, mould, fungi, bacteria, and other organic matter such as decomposition of the litter, feed, and faeces. All these contribute to the dust load that is expelled via the ventilation system. We have a passionate, close community who flourish and love living in the ideal location in or adjacent to the Malort Plains, not because it is cheap, not because they want to generate business and satisfy shareholder pockets, but because they choose to live in this locality to enjoy and maintain a quality of life, and rightfully so. I'll put this to a vote. All in favour of Mr. Murphy, Councillor Murphy's motion? Those against? Councillor Murphy's motion is carried. Thank you very much. We're going down to item number 9. But Councillor Long has left the building, so to speak. Councillor reports and general business, there is nil. Notices of motion, there are nil. Urgent business, no urgent business. Confidential business, no confidential business. And close of meeting, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you, both virtually and in the gallery, for attending this meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Lord.